I got engaged to a blind Duke. Episode 175. Marin didn't avoid his gaze and met it directly, firmly grasping his slightly trembling hand. Just how far did your thoughts wander? I'm not leaving. His eyes constantly searched her expression as if seeking reassurance. I absolutely won't leave, so don't worry. Ha! A deep sigh of relief escaped from his red lips. But can you tell me why you don't want a baby? Yes. I searched through the entire family head's chamber to see if I could tell you. Marin's eyes widened in surprise. The family head's chamber? I spent several days there reading everything I could get my hands on. Ah. Marin finally realized where he had been. Not somewhere far away, but within the Duke's castle. Marin, our family has a bloodline secret. This secret is only passed down to the Duke, the Duchess, and the direct heir. Marin's eyes trembled with bewilderment. She had simply wanted to know Gerald's true feelings. If it's a secret, then you shouldn't tell me. Normally, that would be true. But there was a precedent where it was specially permitted to tell a fiancé. However, if the fiancé who knows the secret doesn't marry into the family, she cannot survive. Marin unconsciously swallowed hard. So you're saying that once I hear the truth, I can never leave your side. Do you still want to hear it? His warning voice was incredibly sweet, as if tempting her. Wow, that's scary. Marin playfully made a fuss. Marin, you have no intention of leaving me, right? He urged her with a subtle voice, as if insisting she must hear the secret. Marin nodded her head. The Gerald before her was the male protagonist. Though it hadn't been described in detail in the original work, living with him, she had suspected he might have some kind of ability. Like mind reading. Or thought reading. Marin felt her lips go dry as she watched his lips part. The family head of the ducal house has enhanced 5 senses. At Gerald's plain confession, her heart, which had been tightly constricted with tension, began beating normally again. That's it? Yes. That's it. He chuckled and repeated her words. Marin tilted her head, wondering if having enhanced 5 senses was really such a big secret. As if reading her thoughts, he calmly continued. My vision is sharp enough to identify the eye color of birds flying in the sky, and my hearing can pick up every sound within 50 meters. My taste can distinguish poisons, my smell is superior to dogs. My touch is extremely sensitive. Wait a moment. Marin raised her hand with a flustered face to stop his words. Gerald quietly looked at her as she wished. Marin was beyond confused, she was dumbfounded. What story had she just heard? Enhanced 5 senses were such an amazing thing? I just thought of it as ordinary. But it's not ordinary at all. That's an incredibly tremendous ability. He gave a dry smile. It's an ability I didn't want to have. What? Why? I manifested this ability when I was 5 years old. Marin's eyes widened with a shocked expression. No way? Even the sound of a needle dropping felt like thunder to me, so I kept fainting repeatedly. Everything I ate was too stimulating, making swallowing food an ordeal, and when bathing, it felt like my bare skin was being peeled off, so there were more days I didn't wash. Ah. Marin covered her mouth, imagining the terrible days he must have endured. Wasn't that too cruel for a child who was only 5 years old? I lived trapped here for 5 years. I could only come out after I learned to control my enhanced 5 senses myself. Marin struggled desperately to hold back her tears. She didn't want to ruin his calm confession with her tears. Marin, I don't want our child to feel the same pain I did. That's why I didn't want to have a baby. Marin slowly nodded her head. Just hearing about it was this painful, so she understood what feelings he must have had when he didn't want a baby, having actually experienced it himself. I understand. I'll give up. Marin? At her answer, he looked up. We can adopt a child later, so I'll follow your wishes. Gerald firmly grasped her hand and suppressed the emotions surging in his chest. Just how far was this kind woman going to yield to him? When she wanted a child so much. Gerald raised his hand and gently cupped one side of her face. This time, she leaned her face against his hand. Actually, I discovered something in the 20th Duke's diary. Looking at her warm gaze, Gerald carefully opened his mouth. The person who wrote that book? Yes. He had also been affected by a demon beast flower before. Marin lifted her face from his hand with a surprised expression. As the soft sensation of her touch disappeared from his hand, his fingertips tingled with regret. Was he all right? Unlike me, it says he only experienced temporary symptoms. That's fortunate. Oh, could it be? Gerald chuckled. He knew that clever her would understand his intention. The poison from the demon beast flower I consumed. Perhaps there might be an answer in that. I lost my vision too, didn't I? The second time, I lost my 5 senses as well. I want to research that demon beast flower. Marin felt sorry for him trying so hard for her sake, and loved him so much that she hugged him tightly. Whatever choice you make, I'll support you. Me too. I want to see the baby you want as well. But what if the child wants that ability? I manifested it quite early, but most people manifest it when they're older. Father said he manifested it at age 13. Then? If the child's ability manifests early, we'll have to use medicine. Of course, the research would have to succeed first. When he gave a bitter smile, Marin cupped his face with both hands and made him look at her. Let's not expect too much from the beginning, and let's not give up too early either. Understood? Yes. As their gazes gently intertwined, Marin kissed his lips first for the first time in a long while. Warm sunlight spilled through the window and gently swam through the room. Marin lay on the bed in a proper position, staring into space with a serene face. Yulia, who had been watching this scene with worried eyes, whispered to Elmise. She's been like that for hours now. Elmise nodded as if in agreement. What could be wrong? She won't get up, and she's skipping meals too. Worry was evident in Yulia's hushed voice. Yulia. We just need to follow orders. Don't rashly try to guess what Master is thinking. I understand. Yulia answered with a dejected expression at Elmise's cold advice. Ugh, hi. Just then, Marin suddenly grabbed her hair and banged her head against the pillow. Yulia and Elmise were startled and looked at each other. Ahem. We shouldn't guess what Master is thinking, but if she's harming herself, go check on her. Elmise cleared her throat dryly and gently pushed Yulia forward. Yulia, full of concern, obediently approached Marin. Mississippi. Are you perhaps doing nothing, but doing nothing more intensely than usual? Looking at Marin, who wouldn't come out of bed, she asked what she thought was the best question she could manage. What? Marin lifted her head with a face that looked ready to cry at any moment. Or maybe, are you feeling unwell somewhere? Should I call the personal physician? No. Marin's voice had no strength at all, like someone whose soul had left their body. Soon Marin wriggled under the blanket and kicked it with thumping sounds. Aha!